going on?
Sanders, what's going on?
It's Mega Maid. She's gone from suck to blow.
What? They're getting all their air back. Do something.
Do something.
Do something!
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and we've got big news on the independent comic front. A few weeks ago, there was a teaser image that was put out. It was called Crossover, and it was supposed to be associated with Donny Cates, and it got my mind thinking. I was like, is Image doing a massive crossover event with all their characters? It's a little bit confusing, but now there's some clarity on that. And here with me to talk about that is my good friend, the proprietor of Fantastic Comics in the Fantastic Comics YouTube channel, Yule Carter. How you doing?
I'm great. This is a pretty interesting thing. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yes, we've definitely got some new feelings after it now that we have new information. But before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to Thinking Critical YouTube yet, definitely go and hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell for notifications because you're going to want to catch all these videos. We got a lot of exciting things happening right here on Thinking Critical YouTube. And if you like what Yule Carter brings to the channel, he has his own YouTube channel, and you can subscribe to him by going to the link in the video description. At the 1 minute mark, there would have been an icon so you can go to his channel, subscribe. And in the last 30 seconds, there will be an even bigger icon so you can subscribe to Fantastic Comics YouTube. And I definitely highly encourage that. Great content over there.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You deserve it, my man. All right, so let's get into this Donny Cates crossover thing. I was confused. I was like, are they letting Donny Cates handle all of the Image Comics universe and all their characters? I'm shocked that people are going to let him take control of their creator-owned characters, and that is not exactly what's happening. But now that I see what is happening, I think it might be even more kind of mind-blowing, more exciting. He's teaming back up with, I believe it's Jeff Shaw, who was his artist on Thanos Wins, was really the big Marvel book that kind of like put his name out there. They also worked together, I believe, at the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy and some other projects over there at Marvel. Great artist. And they're doing this thing where this comic book crossover is so explosive and so amazing. It jumps out of the pages that this kid's reading and like takes over the world, kind of like Last Action Heroes, but better.
You know, I didn't even think about Last Action Hero, that too. This is not an uncommon concept. There have been comics where, you know, I mean, where we've seen the real world and the superhero come together. But, it hasn't been done really in a while, I don't think. And this looks like it's going to go the next level as far as those kinds of stories are concerned.
Donny Cates obviously made his mark with independent creator-owned works. Most notably, I think it's Baby Teeth, Redneck. He's got some other stuff out there. His profile has gotten much larger since he's gotten all this great work over at Marvel with Thor, Venom, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thanos. You know, he's had a lot of great stuff. Silver Surfer Black. Obviously, he's working up to this big King in Black event. One of the biggest, hottest creators in the entire industry. And I'm super stoked that he's kind of going back here. You can definitely tell that Donny Cates, like at his core, is a comic book fan. And I think he's trying to put the most insane thing you've ever seen on paper. Shut up, R2.
Oh, you're blowing up. Yeah, and you know, so the thing is that he's worked with Jeff Shaw a few times. They did Redneck and I think God Country together, both Image books. Donny Cates has already shown, like you said, that he can wrap all these characters and all these stories, and he has the big picture, but you know, he does these little chunks all over the Marvel universe, and now he's going to do that in this one comic book. I assume this is going to be like, this is everything I could never do at a mainstream comic book company. And man, looking at the art that Jeff Shaw's doing, I mean, I wouldn't say he was holding back at Marvel, but this is like a next level for him. This is really sharp stuff, and this looks like a really good series. I was kind of, when I first heard about it, I was thinking Image United, you know, like you said. I mean, was I really thinking too heavily into it? It's more like, well, we'll see what's up, you know. But, you know, seeing these pages and then reading just the first few pages also, it looks good. And definitely Image needs something that they can hang their hat on. You know, there's been a couple of really good series for them that have ended. And, Saga's not coming back anytime soon as far as I know. So let's hope crossover is good. It's got good creators, and it's some. I'm excited. I'm excited for anything that can bring someone into the store that's gonna oh man, I can't wait for the next issue. That type of thing.
So I'm with you on the art, man. Jeff Shaw's definitely playing homage to Superman and a lot of the classic characters. It looks like there's a bottled City of Kandor kind of image in there. There's certainly a character that appears to be kind of like Superman, and he's kind of coming out of the page. It's got a nice retro feel to it. And I don't know, just see the previews. It feels like they blew this out of the park, and I haven't even really gotten into the story yet. Am I too excited, Yul?
Probably. The one thing about superheroes that aren't, look, I'm going to say this, and I don't mean it 100%, because there's always been times when there's an exception to any rule. But ultimately, my rule is if I'm not reading Big Two superheroes, or if I'm reading a superhero that isn't Big Two, why bother? If my superhero they don't ever have to, but if they can't cross over with Spider-Man or can't cross over with Superman, are you even really a superhero? But I like Black Hammer. This looks good. This has a wrinkle. This has a gimmick you have to have a gimmick that makes your superhero outside of Marvel or DC worthwhile. So we'll see if this has staying power or not.
One of the best things about this, and it's one of my constant criticisms about the industry, is comic book cover art, where that's really like the billboard. That's the first thing people are going to see. That's how you're going to sell it to people that are fresh off the street, that maybe haven't read the article, haven't heard the buzz about the title. And that cover with the kid opening the book and his face being melted off because of the crossover event he's reading is so amazing. I can't imagine anyone not looking at that and not being like, I want to read that. That looks amazing. I just can't. That cover is great.
Yeah, that's an excellent one. I agree. I wonder how much of this is going to be I don't know, is metaphor the right word for, since we're talking about crossover events that actually make it over into our universe. Is this how you feel as a young reader when you read a crossover for the very first time? Is he going from that premise maybe a little bit, or is it just what we're seeing on the page? It doesn't have to get any deeper than that, but this could be a very emotional, a love letter to comic books and crossover events for Donny Cates. Like you said, it seems like he really, really, really likes comic books and has been a big, he's a dork, he's a nerd. Just, you watch him on any of his videos or see what he says. He tries
to act like he's so metal and cool, and you're like,
well, there is that for sure. It ain't work. I'm not buying it. You like comic books too much. Not that you can't like that other stuff also. So this might be like one of those love letters, kind of like when you read a Superman for All Seasons or any of those other Jeff Loeb schmaltzy books.
Yeah, I can see a lot of comic book readers, comic book fans really getting an emotional attachment to this comic book. Because I remember, I started reading in my 30s, but when I finally made it to Blackest Night, that was really the first big comic book crossover event I ever read. And my mind was blown. I was like, this is insane. I can't believe all these characters. I never thought I would see, Superman and all these characters putting on rings. And of course, I just remember being so excited reading that, just seeing all the characters, because that's such a big moment in that comic book. I can't imagine being 12 years old and receiving a moment like that. So I could see, Yul Carter being transported back to being 8 years old and the first time he read that big first crossover event that, just blew your mind. I think, if you're a comic book reader, no matter when you started, there is that time when you finally got to that big event and it actually paid off and hit on all cylinders. And I think we're all going to be able to kind of relate to the main character, who I assume is like a 9-year-old Donny Cates in his experience.
Yeah. It's something about, you can go back and read Civil War if you've never read it before, or Secret Invasion, or Crisis on Infinite Earths, or whatever. But when you're reading it in the moment, there's like, you don't have all that reflection of whether or not it was good or what somebody thinks about it or any of the baggage that you're reading now that's referencing it. You were there. And yeah, for the first time that you see all these characters, before crossover events, it might have been like, Avengers and Defenders were in, they crossed over in their own comic books. But when you have this like we have summer events all the time now. Now we have winter events. Now we have a Spider-Man event. It's not as new and interesting as it, was at one time. But when you're the reader and it's the first time for you and you had never seen it, it's pretty special. And yeah, I think I want to hope that this is going to be really good. I think it will probably, they say it's an ongoing series. I can't really see this going on, 18 issues, 24 maybe. Take their image breaks. But so it'll be like 3 years maybe. But I'm down. I'm ready to look at it. It looks like a good book.
It doesn't feel like it should be an ongoing series.
Yeah.
If somebody can pull it off, I imagine it is Donny Cates. And I am so happy that they've got such a good artist on there. Jeff Shaw is just criminally underrated. He gets to start a book and then they just move him over to another property. He deserves to be on a bigger title. So Image really, 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 really needs a big hit. You mentioned it earlier. They lost The Walking Dead. Saga was supposed to go on like a 12 to 18 month hiatus. It's been 24 months now. No signs of coming back. I think The Wicked and Divine is over. They've lost a lot of big titles. Like their biggest seller right now is Spawn, and Decorum came out with Jonathan Hickman. That one had a good buzz and good initial sales. We'll see if it still had some staying power. Mirka Andolfo's Mercy had some good sales initially. We'll see if that has staying power, but Image needs a big hit. And I think this one, at least for a year, could probably do it. If it's just 12 issues and just blows your mind away, and it could definitely get, Image in a better place.
Yeah, Donny Cates is. We'll see how important Donny Cates is. This is like kind of like proving ground for him, because God Country and Redneck are very nice titles, but they aren't, Saga or Paper Girls or I'm naming big ones, but why not aim high, right?
Absolutely, I think that's what he's looking for.
But Donny Cates, we're talking, absolute carnage. We're talking Venom, Guardians, all that's, like you said, Noel, his Thor. These are comics that are expensive now. These are hot properties. So in the very least, I think the first issue of this should do very well for comic stores, and we'll see where Donny Cates is with the fans in your special store that you go to. How he does.
This will be a good proving ground. Does he transcend Marvel? Is his name big enough in lights that he attracts an audience without having that Marvel logo next to it? I have a feeling, and this is just my personal feeling, I think he does now. I think he's a big enough writer that the first issue will hit at least 50,000, which is a very big number by Image standards. And we'll see how it goes, because that cover alone is amazing. If they do some variant covers with it, I think it'll definitely hit 50, but Image doesn't always do that.
Right. I think go out and get crossover. Order crossover from your store. I think this might be a good one. You should do it, Donny Cates fans.
I can't believe how smitten I am just with the idea and the art and everything that I've seen. I like being giddy like a schoolboy. I'm 42 years old. It doesn't happen to me often. Like I said, when I saw the crossover thing, I was like, that's really weird. I remember reading up on Image United, and it fell apart, I think, after 2 issues.
Two or three
issues. Fell apart, and I was like, I'm surprised they're trying that again. It seems to have never worked before, but I'm glad it's not something that we expected, and it's going to be wholly different. I can't wait to see the characters that he's, obviously playing with. There's going to be a version of Superman. Is there going to be a Batman and a Spider-Man in this crossover? Where is he going to get these new versions of characters in here and play with them? Maybe let him interact for the first time.
Yeah. Although I think the Image creators should let him take 3 issues each of their characters and do one big ass story with Image characters. Let Donnie do it. He might even do it for free. He might already have it written.
That would be cool if you just
let him
brought in
do it.
another an outside voice who didn't have any investment in the characters or in the company. Obviously, he's not an executive like a lot of the creators that are on the big titles are there. Just let him go play with their toys and see if he can do something cool.
I mean, what else? Come on, seriously. Just do it.
Well, I think that's about going to wrap us up. I'm obviously very excited for crossover. It sounds like you're in the same boat as I am.
Yeah, you got me excited about it, and as I was thinking about what you were saying, I'm like, oh, I'm getting even more excited about it.
Well, hopefully the viewers feel the same way, and if you enjoyed what Yul had to say, in a few seconds, you're going to have an opportunity to hit an icon and go and subscribe to his channel. I definitely recommend you do that.
Yeah, and anybody that came here because of me, make sure you subscribe to Thinking Critical.
Well, and I would absolutely appreciate that. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.